Hello, I'm Jim Riley. Welcome to All the Right Connections. I'm here with my favorite guys here today. James Reynolds, President of Mid-Hudson Cablevision.
Jim.
Dave Fingar. What's your title? What's he doing?
Oh, Jim, I'm sorry. I was watching the latest episode of Duck Dynasty.
He's not paying attention, Jim.
I'm not paying attention.
Sorry.
Well, I think it's chief engineer. I think we finally got it this time. But James, I think that's something that's really good that we need to deal with right away. Let's talk about that.
Well, I think we have to take that app off his phone.
Well, you know, he's incorrigible. And that's the trouble with engineers. You know, they just never stop with this stuff. But that's really where we're at today. TV Anywhere. Let's talk about that for a bit.
Well, yeah, TV everywhere means that any platform, I mean, most people, maybe everybody has a smartphone now.
Right.
And just as you see, Dave was not paying attention and he's watching one of his favorite shows, Duck Dynasty. And, you know, you have
let's do this. I'm going to turn
iPad is another platform.
Right.
You've got, you know, laptops.
Laptops like the one that's on the desk.
So there's many different choices people have, and you get away from the old or the traditional model where people were tied to their living room and a schedule that they'd have to be sitting down at 7 o'clock to watch the news or to watch one of their favorite programs, and now that's not true. You can watch anytime, anywhere, at your convenience. And in many cases, people have such busy schedules that they will watch some of their favorite programming on different devices when they have a few minutes.
Right, it just makes it available.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so when you have Mid-Hudson Cablevision, you have TV Anywhere.
Exactly.
Everywhere.
Correct.
Let's use the right term. TV everywhere. Now, we have a list here. We actually have channels available that are actually available on whatever platform you're using. Let me read these down, okay? So we have the A&E. I always like a little sophistication. Arts
Breaking
and
Bad,
entertainment.
right?
Breaking Bad. Bravo, another great channel. CNBC. E, I know our engineer loves entertainment of all forms, so he would watch E. Esquire, and I was telling our producer before we went on the air, I love reruns of Psych. That's one of my favorite shows. It's on Esquire. Fox Business, Fox News, Lifetime Movie Network. That's a powerful one for the family. That's a very powerful one. History 2.
Great channel.
I really like those. MSNBC, NBC Sports, Oxygen, SY, FY, Sci-Fi. Those are really kind of interesting. If you're into that genre, that's a very good one. Telemundo, I was telling Dave, we all need to learn Spanish today. Telemundos will teach us Spanish. And USA. So with Mid-Hudson Cablevision.
Sounds to me like he makes a lot of use of his cable subscription.
I would think so.
You know,
He knows all these channels.
I take my Mid-Hudson Cablevision service very seriously, and it is. It's amazing what you have available, but now you have it available everywhere.
Yes, and this is no easy task, and it involves a lot of electronic equipment at the head end that does encryption and encoding so that the format to put a picture on Dave's smartphone is much different than putting it on your big screen TV in your living room.
Right.
Dave probably can tell you more about it. But
Let's talk a little bit about that.
It is. It's streamed through your internet connection.
Right.
It isn't truly a television signal as the old television signals were. It's a stream.
Right, and that creates a big need to update and keep current with the electronics that are involved.
It is. It's a never-ending upgrade to keep the internet fast.
What I like is he's still smiling, James. so far, so good. But it is a challenge, isn't it?
It is, Jim.
really is.
Just when you think you've got everything running smooth and just as fast as it can be, another application will come out. Someone else will want more bandwidth for another product, this being one of them.
No, it's really true. The demand, James, keeps
well,
increasing.
But also, there's a significant investment because, as most people know, if they've acquired a new TV, there's a control on the handheld that allows you to set up different formats. You can have full screen, you can have letterbox, you can have these different formats. Same thing holds true with putting content on different platforms.
Right.
The smaller the screen, there have to be changes applied so that stream coming out will provide a quality, properly sized picture for that device.
Right, because you have to have quality. And that's one of the things that I know you're very sensitive to, is that when people use a service, in this context everywhere, it's got to be the right service.
Right, and we've talked on previous shows that in most homes now who have our internet service, it's a wireless environment. So you can walk around your home with that Wi-Fi network and connect, and you have this content streaming to any of these platforms, so it makes it very convenient.
Right. I was telling you now how I use mine through Mid-Hudson Cable. I have a Kindle, which I'm now very, very fond of, because when I go on the internet, I have a great passion for music. We were just talking about a mutual friend of ours that is an opera singer, and I love YouTube. I can get all types of music and performances.
Sure.
But now, through this service, Mid-Hudson Cable Vision everywhere, I can sit with my Kindle in a comfortable chair in the environment that I want to be in and access YouTube with the headphones, of course, because my wife insists I do that.
So it saves you the drive down to New York City to the Met, right?
It does, and it's it's also a lot less expensive, to be fair. But again, the quality is extraordinary, and that's, Dave, I have to thank you for that as well, because I cannot watch or listen to music if the quality isn't where it needs to be. It's very, very frustrating, and I will not stay with it. And I have to say, I'm very thrilled with the service that I received.
Well, I heard yesterday, I believe, that Comcast, which is one of the largest cable companies, was introducing the next generation HD.
Right.
And it's a curved screen, the newer model, so it's not over yet. No. This is going to continue, but it is true that consumers are becoming far more demanding in terms of the quality.
It has to be what they want.
You know, it used to be that a standard definition digital channel looked like a very good picture, but put up against an HD signal, it's not the same.
No.
And so the quality keeps improving.
Yeah, and that's what you have to provide, or people are going to be very, very dissatisfied. You're talking about content. There's some issues with cost with content as well. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, you know, as more and more companies begin to produce content, and as you know, consumers have many more opportunities to consume, the cost for producing this new content has been steadily rising. And you know, it doesn't matter whether it's Netflix with their big series Breaking Bad, or rather, I think it's House of Cards is theirs.
Another one, yeah.
And actually, House of Cards just launched a second season, and they're having technical problems because so many people are downloading the content. But you know, these the Netflix of the world, even the broadcast channels, they have steadily increased their cost to us. It's called retransmission consent, and we have to sign these agreements, and their rates keep steadily rising. I guess among the most aggressive with the pricing are the sports networks, and that's, you know, the YES, which is the Yankee channel, Madison Square Garden, ESPN, and Sports Channel New York. Those four channels compose right now maybe around $25+ a month of a cable bill.
Right. Well, I think Dave and I were talking before you joined us, before the shoot, talking about the fact that some people are still of the impression that this just comes out of the air, you trap it, there's no cost involved, and you're just making profit on it. But in fact, the costs are real.
Well, also, I mean, consumers want the programming. They're consuming it in record amounts. But nobody likes higher prices. And we, you know, basically have no control over the content providers. They send us a contract. When the cable industry first started to carry a lot of new services like ESPN and HBO and all these other services, satellite services, it was an exciting time, and the content providers had a very good relationship with the distributors, the cable operators,
Right.
because we were making it possible for them to expand their audience.
Right.
Now it seems that relationship has faded, and they hardly get in touch at all, and except to send us a certified letter with a new contract and a higher price.
Right.
We really have no ability to negotiate that, because they stipulate what the price is, and we don't have any possibility of removing that from the lineup,
No,
because
they
people
want
would be
it.
upset.
That's what they want, yeah.
So
you
it's
have
a
to deal with those
it's a
issues.
difficult process. I guess in balance, the good news is, even though the prices from the content providers are increasing, I think the quality overall of the programming has improved dramatically,
Yeah.
and it probably will continue.
And that's important. That's
Yes.
an important consideration. Okay, now, I've got a new thing here. Well, free on demand, let's talk about that just for a second. This is a service that I like because there is a lot of free things. Tell us a little bit about that, James.
Well, on some subscription services, HBO and Cinemax, for example, they have free on demand, but I think you may be referring to content that there's no cost for.
Right.
And we look for whatever content we can get that is popular and there's no cost to. So customers who want to access and stream content can find a big library of free on-demand programming.
Which I think is a nice change up because they're things that you're going to pay for through your service. But this I think of as value added.
Right.
This is something you have. You just need to investigate a little bit and find out what's available for you.
Yes, and where I started with HBO and Cinemax is that anyone who subscribes to those services is also entitled to stream any of their content free.
Right. And that's something that's important to keep in mind and then make use of that.
Sure.
It's very important. Now, there's a new thing, Path Track. I want to get to that just in a second. But just in general, Dave, and I'll go to you on this, the ongoing investment in upgrading the internet system. Tell us a little bit what happens there.
Well, the wires that are out on the road are pretty much in place. They don't need much of
Right.
an upgrade. But the electronics at either end, both the box in the customer's
That
home,
control that service.
that talk to one another, and the
Right.
devices that are in our head end are under a constant barrage of upgrades. Every month, it seems, there's something new software, new firmware, new devices, new cards, constantly going in.
Right.
And that's what goes on with the internet. The internet keeps going faster and faster and faster.
And has to.
It has to.
But again, James, that's the balance. The other side of the coin is that's what the customers are looking for. They have to have the speed. They have to have, when they turn this system on and they use it, it has to work the way they want to. And that's why it has to be upgraded constantly.
Right.
Well, I don't know whether you saw, but this past week, Netflix, one of the top streaming companies, entered into an agreement with Comcast, one of the biggest cable
Right.
operators, to pay them so that they would provide a special level of performance, because in some of the areas, customers who went to stream some of the Netflix movies it was queuing, it was stopping and,
Right.
and then starting again, and they don't want that. They want somebody, when they select
Right.
that program,
It's
for it to
going
come on
to run.
and
Right.
play like it was
Yeah.
at a movie theater. And at the same time, the FCC is trying to promote new regulation which calls for net neutrality. Now, in my judgment, this makes absolutely no sense, because if you have a company like Netflix that is consuming up to 30% of the capacity of our entire network on a Friday or Saturday night, and we are having to invest millions of dollars in electronics to make that experience happen.
Right.
Netflix should have an obligation to support and pay for some of those upgrades, because
Right.
if Netflix did not exist, we're not required to
You
make
wouldn't
that
need it.
investment.
Yeah.
So it's a delicate balance. And the other thing is that it's very much analogous to when the PCs were first being introduced, and you had the initial Intel central processor.
Right.
and everybody was thrilled to be able to use that computer. And then when Intel introduced the next faster chip, all the equipment that had the old chip was obsolete.
Right.
And just as computers got faster and faster and faster, so is the internet, and so is the demand for the customers. Every time we do an upgrade, we notice our consumption goes up dramatically. If we provide additional bandwidth, they consume it.
Absolutely true. Okay, now we're going to move to a new one. This is Path Track. I'm reading it because I didn't know. Path Track. Are you going to start this for us?
Yes, actually, we have a laptop that I want to
Okay.
get over to Dave.
Okay.
But I want to just say that with all of these new products and services that we're providing, the challenge to keep the network going 24/7 has never been greater. This new technology that we've invested in, and I understand that we are one of the only companies running this particular latest version of this technology.
Version 4.0.
But it's going to enable our technicians to monitor all of the networks. And Dave can tell you, but I think we have 140 different separate locations.
Yeah, nodes, and I'm having trouble
Right.
with this computer. But there's more than that, 150 some nodes. These are
Right.
locations in the cable system that we go out with optical
I
cable.
call them control centers, but
Yeah.
they're
Fiber
electronic
optic
control
cable.
centers,
Right.
yeah.
Goes into a neighborhood.
Right.
And then the cable network connects to that and connects the customers.
Right.
Within that node or control center, we try to limit the number of customers that try to access through that point.
Right.
And it's always possible that, while we limit the number of customers, we control the amount of bandwidth that's needed for that.
Right.
But there's always the possibility of a problem, a customer's modem or a computer that acts up, that creates noise or
Right.
creates interference.
Right.
And gets back into that node, that control center, and causes problems for other customers. It's a constant battle, and this is
Right.
a tool. I wish I could get Ryan's computer to work, and I don't know.
Well, he's going to sneak on set here.
Okay.
Go ahead. We love
There
that we
it
can
is,
be
there it is.
flexible
Thank you.
and have Ryan get.
Okay.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks,
Ryan
Ryan.
is our producer and ghost technician. We appreciate it. Ryan Oswald, thank you. All right, Dave.
So
again.
anyway, this is Path Track, and it gives us a view of the entire cable system. Over here on the left are all of our fiber optic nodes.
Right.
So I'll pull up a node. And again,
I hope it's
here's the
my node.
computer, and then we can
See really what's going on in that node.
I've got it right here. And this is going to give us a spectrum analyzer shot of the activity in that node.
That's actually what's taking place.
That's
Yeah,
the
that-
signal.
Yeah.
in
That hump in the
particular-
middle, that largest of the humps near the center,
Yeah.
that's the internet traffic.
Right.
And everything else is undesirable.
Undesirable.
And as long as you keep
it
the
exists,
undesirables
keep
low.
it down so that the traffic works. James, the other thing that you said is terribly important as we look at this, it is 24/7. It's not like 7 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, 9 to 5, it's 24/7.
And our consumption, our bandwidth utilization, the amount of bandwidth that our subscribers consume begins to spike at around 6 or 7 o'clock at night and runs till around 11 or 11:30 or 12, where people are getting home, they're getting on their internet connections,
Right.
they're streaming movies, and it's during that period that we have to be very vigilant, and we can watch the consumption increase.
You can actually see it increase.
And what this new system will allow us to do, real time, is to watch if we see, the lower level there, Dave, is the noise floor.
The noise floor.
Yeah.
And if a technician sees, some more disturbance in that, it may prompt us, before it ever affects your streaming of a
Right.
movie, we can go out and we can find what may be causing that and solve it. So it allows us to be,
Ahead of it.
yes, instead
Ahead
of being
any kind of
defensive,
problem. Yeah.
we're offensive.
Offensive. And Dave, that's something that's really important for you as the chief engineer and all the techs, is to make sure that you can stay ahead of those issues and problems, and Path Track will allow you to do this even better.
It does. It gives us the ability. push the wrong button. It gives us the ability to
I was going to say, that sounded like we pushed the wrong button. Yeah.
to monitor and view the problems over time. It logs them. So if a problem happened last night at 8 o'clock at night, the technician or myself can go in and see, okay, Jim Riley's node had an event happen last night at 8:07 p.m.
Right.
Is it still there now? It gives us a view of where it may have happened from. And not only is this available on this computer here, but our technicians in the field have signal meters that they can go up on a pole with, and they can actually view it up there and work on it.
Yeah, that's a tremendous, tremendous resource.
Yeah, another aspect of this whole network is that we have to watch every single one of these nodes to see if congestion is building up. For example, at your house, the node that you're fed off of, say there's 5 or 6 people that like to go do online gaming.
Right.
They consume enormous amounts of bandwidth. Now, if you get an aggregation of enough users, I know that you're at home streaming movies.
Yes.
And you're on
And
YouTube.
music, yeah,
You're on
YouTube,
YouTube.
yeah,
So
that's
you're
what I
streaming
do, yeah.
stuff. And other people in your neighborhood, if too many get together and consume too much bandwidth, it's going to slow everybody down. So what we do is we're going to use this technology as well as other technologies to watch the consumption and the aggregation on each one of these nodes. As we see that building, we're going to take steps, again, offensively, to try to prevent things from really slowing down. Now, sometimes we can't prevent it. Sometimes, you know, we've had issues where one customer was playing online gaming, and the people that he was playing with got upset with him and launched a denial of service attack through his cable modem.
Right.
And they shut the network down.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to defend against all
yeah.
of that use, but what we're saying is that we want to be proactive.
Right.
We want to keep an eye on things, and where we can make adjustments and corrections and troubleshooting, we're going to do that.
Right, and that's something you feel very strongly about. It gives you more to work with to stay ahead of the curve.
This will be a big help, and we are and we want to be the best internet provider in the Twin Counties here.
Thank God for that, because you know I'm on YouTube looking for my friend Alfred Walker singing Aida. I want to be able to hear him and see him. It's worked very, very well. It's important, though, that people understand that's the kind of commitment it takes to deliver the service.
Correct. And investment.
Yeah. Investment is, unfortunately, a big part of the puzzle. It has to be done. Again, nobody's going to go back and say, I don't want YouTube anymore. I don't want gaming. I don't want Netflix. You're going to have to deal with that reality, and that you've been very good at staying ahead of. Path Track, I think, is a very, very good addition to that repertoire of dealing with these issues.
It really gives us the tools, gives our technical staff the tools to be proactive in troubleshooting and hopefully prevent problems before they can cause an issue for subscribers.
Great.
Right.
Dave, thanks a bunch. James, last thoughts.
Well, Jim, as I mentioned earlier, they just talked about the next generation HD TV, because every point in the evolution of this business has seemed as though it's an inflection point, and so we react to it and we prepare for it and we make the investment, and only to find out that there's something beyond that. And so we don't know where all of this ends, but it's really a remarkable, the technology that helps people manage their lives, that gives people access to information that they'd never really be able to achieve easily on their own. The amazing content and entertainment that all of us can bring into our homes. It's really amazing.
And you've been at the forefront for many years now. And one thing I like is Mid-Hudson's always going to be in the forefront in providing those services. James, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jim.
Appreciate it.
I'll try to keep Dave off of Duck Dynasty.
He loves it. I know he loves Duck Dynasty like a lot of his friends do. Dave Fingar, thanks so much. We appreciate it. We'll be right back after a few messages.
The living room. It's a great place to watch TV. But what if you're not home? Like break time at the office or waiting for your ride. Now you can watch TV everywhere. Stream your favorite shows or live TV on any computer, tablet, or smartphone. It's all included in your Mid-Hudson cable service for no extra cost. Call 1-800-342-5400 or visit mhcable.com to watch TV everywhere.
Looking to spice up your table? Mid-Hudson Cable invites you to travel with us and meet the chef. Join host Jim Riley as he gives you an intimate look at some of the area's best eateries, from the burger joint down the street to a 4-star restaurant. Meet the people behind the scenes who prepare some of the best dishes in the area. Thursday and Sunday at 8 p.m., Saturday at 11 and 8 p.m., with a new episode each month, only on Channel 11. Meet the Chef, available exclusively on Mid-Hudson Cable.
Welcome back. My guests for this portion of the program are two very dear friends. I said it because we just met in the supermarket the other day. Shelly Pulver, Robin Smith, thank you so much for coming today. We appreciate it. And we're going to discuss today
Cultivate Catskill.
Cultivate Catskill. I'm a Catskillian, so this is very important to me. I just think it's wonderful. This organization has done so much, accomplished so much. How did it get started?
Well, it was probably 2 years now. Robin and I on our Sunday walks would talk about this. I read an email about something called America in Bloom, which is a national organization that promotes pride in communities through planting. And they have a national contest. And just show me hanging baskets and I'm in.
Yeah.
So we talked about it a long time and decided we could do it. We got some friends together and talked about it further, and yes, we could do it. We got the money we needed for the entrance fee
Right.
and from the village LDC, and off we went. The response has just been overwhelming. And this it isn't only about planting, it's about historic preservation and about, you can jump in.
Urban
Urban
forestry.
forestry, landscaping, all aspects of the community, and collaboration. Which
That
we
part I
did.
like, and I think you've been very successful in putting a group together that can really form that kind of collaborative effort that you need to go forward, right?
It's been unbelievable. People have just stepped up and talk about volunteers. These people have been super volunteers. And we thought we would just kind of plant some flowers or hang some baskets.
Just,
and
make a start.
Yeah,
right.
a tiny start.
Yeah.
tiny start,
Right.
but it just mushroomed. And we started with the Mott Street slide. And
The slides, describe that just a little bit if you would.
do that, Rob?
Go ahead,
Sure.
Rob. Would you do that?
I think they're unique to Catskill. They're
I've
basically
never seen them before.
alleyways
Yes.
that go probably up an ascension.
Right, from one street, from Main Street up
so
to the
there are
next
steps.
street.
It's
Yes.
not just a path. It includes
Right.
steps. So we have Mott Street, we have Howard Street, we have Summit Avenue slide.
Right.
We have one that goes from the old Irving School to the
Episcopal Church?
Episcopal Church.
Right.
And then there's one in back of the Episcopal Church that goes to Bridge Street.
Right, so you worked on that area as
So
well.
we just picked those as maybe
starting
area.
place.
Yes.
Starting point. And we cleaned the Mott Street slide, which goes up to the Rip Van Winkle Senior Citizen Center and is used
Oh,
a
yes.
lot.
Okay.
And then we planted, people donated cherry trees, and I can't remember the other things we planted. Boxwood.
Liriope.
Liriope. We repaved things. The Department of Public Works did
See, that
some
part I
work
like
there.
too, where you're involved in municipality as well, because
They've been
everyone
wonderful.
benefits. It makes so much sense, doesn't it?
They were great.
Yeah.
And we kind of did the trimmings, I would say. They did
Right.
the hard work there. And then later on, we moved down to Howard Street, which is down the street from Main Street up to Franklin to the Presbyterian Church and the library.
Okay.
And that was major. And people donated trucks. They donated mulch. They donated whatever. And there was
Soil.
digging, soil. And
Well, yeah,
Bob
yeah,
Hoven
I-
did the garden design.
Say it again, because I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's
Tell
okay.
us about Bob Hoven
Now,
again.
Bob Hoven is the guy who stepped forward and said, I'd like to help, and he's been doing the garden designs, and he designed that as a mini park.
Wonderful. Here's the thing I find really unique. You thought you had an idea. You thought it would work. Are you surprised at the level of support you received?
Yes, it's been unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Now, before we went on the air, you told me about something I didn't know about. On Main Street, you're planting trees? Mm-hmm. Tell me about that project. I thought that was very interesting.
Well, as part of this, a fellow named Hudson Talbot stepped in and said, I have this dream of planting trees on Main Street. And Kyle Adams at the Daily Mail wrote an article, and from that we have 25 new trees on Main Street, which people donated.
And you said they were expensive.
They were expensive. They're $350 a piece.
Isn't that wonderful?
And Stories and the Department of Public Works got them planted.
Oh, that's
And we're
exciting.
nurturing them, we hope.
That's
right.
exciting. Now, let me look at my list. I love my list. All right, we're talking about accomplishments. We're doing that very well. We don't have to talk about whether it's necessary or not. We found that your organization is terribly necessary. What I like is the energy that you've gotten behind it. That's really exciting.
It is. I mean, really, we go to our meetings and people can't stop talking about
hard
the
to run a meeting.
ideas they want and the things they want to do. Rob Shannon came on board as the photographer, and he just does such wonderful work, and he just has such great ideas. His wife is Janet, and Janet was in charge of our great Catskill weed out, which we did in November, and people were on their hands and knees weeding Main Street and public parks, and what an impact.
Isn't it fabulous? Robin, I got to ask you, there are a couple of things we want to make sure we cover. You had a brick program. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that brick program.
Lisa Van Dyke, who was a young person in our community, came forth with this program for selling bricks,
Right.
memorial bricks, or maybe not just honorarium,
Right,
right? And the first set of, how many did we?
I think 100.
100 bricks we have sold at $100, and we're working on the second stage of this
We have 10 bricks left to sell, and that will be our second stage, and we will have sold 200 bricks.
All right. Now, I want to add to that now, because we're talking about donations, and we're always interested in donations. You're going for a status now for your organization, and that is?
The 5013C?
C3.
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 My
I always
dyslexia.
I always go 3C, C3.
Yes.
But what it means is when people donate, they can know they're going to also receive benefit or recognition through a tax benefit, correct?
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that way, I like win-win. Win-win is always the way to go. But that brick program sounds very exciting. But as we look at what's going forward now, you tell me a little bit before we go to the next step. You just had a big project you did over the holidays and near the holidays with a home tour. Tell us a little bit about that project.
Well, that was our Christmas holiday tour, or our holiday tour, and 5 people were gracious enough to donate their homes and decorated them for the holidays. And it was on a Friday evening, and we sold tickets. We had about 50 people there, and we went as a caravan from house to house, and we ended up at the Beatty Powers place, which
Right.
people probably know, and we had a little buffet and a sing-along. These 2 wonderful musicians who just moved to Catskill. She's an opera singer, and her husband plays all sorts of instruments, and they volunteered their time and performed and had a sing-along.
Wonderful.
It was just terrific, and we hope we can do that next year.
Okay. So now, we're talking about that, Robin, because we finished that. You're going to be getting together shortly to map out the new year. Do you have any specific ideas of what you might be doing?
Actually, finishing what we've started. And
Yeah, it's important to
yes,
finish whatever is
for
begun.
maintenance and what's the other word? Just keeping up with what we've done, and
Build on that, yeah.
And there are details that aren't finished yet, so we need to finish those.
Wrap
And
that
of the
up.
trees, the maintenance of the trees.
And the maintenance of the trees, that's right. We're having Ken Thompson from Stories coming actually
Stories
to meet.
Nurseries.
Yes.
Yeah.
With Hudson and I, and we're going to go up and down Main Street to see if we need some pruning on some of the older trees that have been planted there, and just how do we care for all this? This is
Right.
what maintenance
Right.
is a
Maybe.
Because you
problem.
don't do it once and you're finished.
no.
It'll go to seed very quickly if you don't do that.
And if
Go
we,
ahead.
and if we have containers that we're planning to do on Main Street also, they're going to need to be watered, so we have a lot of planning to do with that kind of.
Can we
Right.
put in a plea here?
Yes.
One of the things that we have most difficulty doing is watering the containers. And we're trying to figure out how to do this. Maybe it's some sort of a golf cart with a huge container in the back, some sort of an old truck with a big container in the back. If anybody has anything or any
That's right. They wanna
ideas,
get
we're
rid of.
open to it.
Actually, I think that does make sense, and maybe that's something we can look into. Again, I have some resources and contacts. I think the idea of a golf cart with a watering container would be a very good idea for
With
that
a
kind of
wand or something
Yeah.
that we can
Yeah,
use to.
and then we'll, of course, deal with our police chief and make sure we get some approval to drive up and down the street as we
Exactly.
water these things. But as we look at this, again, we want to talk 501c3, you have that status. We are looking for donations. You're also looking for volunteers, is
Yes.
that
Oh,
correct?
absolutely.
Okay. Who do they contact? How do they contact? Let's
Well,
do
they
that
can
one.
call me at 518-653-1381.
Right.
And that's probably the best way. We have a
Okay.
website.
Oh, that I like.
www.cultivatecatskill.com. They should be able to get it that way, and there's a lot of information on there.
And I'm assuming on that website, they'll have a hologram of you and Robin waving to folks saying, please come in and volunteer. I would think that's that kind of thing. Okay, last thoughts. Any thoughts you have for us that you want to share with the public, Robin?
I think that this program, when we started it, we thought of it as really giving the people in the town some pride in their
Yes.
community, which I'm not sure we've had. But that's what we're trying to cultivate.
Well, you certainly discovered it because you found that out with support.
Exactly.
And I think that's something that you can feel very, very good about. Shelley, share with us last thoughts.
Well, my last thoughts are a couple of things that are coming up in the spring and summer. And one is we'll have another garden tour June 7th. And we hope that people will come. And the other is we're resuming our trunk sales.
That's right.
And if you hadn't been last year, we had 5 of them, the first Saturday of every month starting in May. And you put your goods in the back of your car in the trunk. And you come
Oh,
to the
that's a cute idea.
county parking lot behind
Right.
where Candyman used to be.
Right.
And you pay $5 for a space, open up your trunk, and sell your treasures.
I think we just sold another Pulver on that. I think Lori will want to work on it. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Shelley
Thank
Pulver,
you.
Robin Smith, Cultivate Catskill. We're very, very proud of you. Thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you so
Thank
We
much.
you.
appreciate it.
Thank
And we
you.
thank you for joining us on All the Right Connections. We also want to thank James Reynolds, President of Mid-Hudson Cablevision, for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you real soon on All the Right Connections.
Welcome to Smart Home from Mid-Hudson Cable, a monitoring solution that brings the power of video to protect your family and home. Using cameras installed by Mid-Hudson Cable technicians, you can check in on your pets, be notified when your children get home, or look in on the nanny. Starting at just $14.95 a month, use your smartphone to monitor your home or business. Call today to learn how Smart Home can help you.